Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2. Test, 1, 2.
Check.
Sure.
Sibilant.
Now, if I can remember how to use the mixing board.
Let's not try.
Let's not try to remember how to use it.
Yeah, let's just.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally understand 100% how to use this mixing board. It will not happen again, ever, where I say we're recording, but we're not recording. I've put in the time. I now know how to use this.
Really?
Absolutely not. That's a bold-faced lie.
I was going to say, you're not really selling me on that.
I'm a horrible liar.
Hey, kids. Welcome to another edition of Love to Hate. I am the always brutally honest Philip Pullman.
And I am the always brutally honest Brandon Luna.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man.
Sometimes brutal honesty gets you in trouble.
It can, I think, but I would rather have someone be brutally honest with me than tell me a bad lie.
And I think brutal honesty, I think you can be, I think it's a way of saying just you're being honest, because there's ways of being honest without being hurtful, but then there's other ways that you can, it's all in how you phrase it.
Right.
You know, but
people don't understand that on the internet.
They don't. No, they've got to make it hurtful and whatnot. But have you found that the older you've gotten, it's just easier to tell the truth? Absolutely,
Yeah, because I also don't give a fuck as much. I think that's a big part of it.
Well, yeah, and it's you realize people appreciate honesty, and it's like what's going to happen. It just makes your life easier. Eddie Izzard does a great bit on that,
right?
About how people appreciate honesty, and you go watch Dressed to Kill. I won't repeat the bit because I won't do it as well.
Yeah.
That's me being honest. I won't do it as well.
Right.
But some people don't seem to get that lesson, and not just people you meet in everyday life or your kids or your dog. When you ask, did you do this? And dog's like, I didn't do that. But probably one of the most famous liars, Richard Nixon.
Yep.
And I always think of the lesson of Nixon, or what I refer to as the lesson of Nixon. If he'd have been honest, which he wasn't,
right,
probably could have stayed in office, I would think, maybe.
Right.
Certainly it wouldn't have been as bad. But you still have celebrities, you have people going out, and they continue to just, they're going to hold on to that. They're going to try to take it to the grave. And I think that's where people lose sympathy.
Right. Absolutely, yeah.
Pete Rose comes to mind. His whole thing was just admitting after so many years, but just taking it to the grave. Like, I did. Okay, I did. Now he's signing baseballs that say, I'm sorry for lying.
Right.
And it's like, how pathetic is that? Because you could have just, the result would have been the same. You were still going to be banned from baseball, and maybe they would have looked at it as like, all right, we'll forgive the guy because he admitted to it.
Did he get a fun name like Tricky Dick, though?
No, he didn't.
No, not like Rosa the Poser or something? Or
Rosa the Poser, no. I think he's still just referred to as Charlie Hustle.
Right.
But, I mean, which is sad because it takes away from his baseball accomplishments, because you don't think about it. Now, liars, O.J. Simpson comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never going to change his mind on that.
Right.
Bill Cosby.
Bill Clinton.
Yes. Which, again, years later, or it wasn't even years later, but just like, all right. And that was the whole thing. He was impeached. The impeachment thing came from the perjury.
Right. From him lying.
Yeah,
instead
to
of
Congress,
telling the truth.
instead of just being honest like he should. I've often wondered that, because, Ken Starr, who was prosecuting the impeachment case in Bill Clinton, he ended up being the president of Baylor University. I often wonder that if Bill Clinton had played football at Baylor, if Ken Starr then would have investigated the rape allegations against the football team.
Right. Interesting.
Wonder how many Baylor alums we have as our audience.
Right.
Probably not a ton. But then another one recently, and again, lots in sports, because you'll have steroid use is another big one where people always lie about, did they take any, I guess you can't just say steroids, but performance-enhancing drugs or do anything to enhance their performance, and you've always got football players denying it, and just, it's so crazy, just the levels people will go to say, I didn't, it was a fake test, or the test got skewed, something like that. You got to admit, one honest sport, the world's strongest man.
Right.
Now, granted, they don't even ask if they're doing steroids or drug tests, because if Olaf Van Olafsson can pull a semi-truck, you kind of got to figure, all right, this guy's on something.
Right.
But one guy who wasn't doing steroids, but it was the blood doping, was Lance Armstrong.
Mm.
And that was one, like Pete Rose, he was taking that to the grave, to the point that he sued guys who came out against him and said that he did it. He sued them for defamation.
Right.
And these aren't guys who are like Lance with his thousands of endorsements making tons of money. These are teammates of his who don't have a ton of cash, who are now having to pay lawyers' fees and whatnot to defend themselves, because he's lying to the point that he's going to sue somebody who is telling the truth.
Right.
But that is not why I think Lance Armstrong should be in prison
Oh, you think Lance Armstrong should be in prison?
the rest of his life.
Why?
Because of Lance Armstrong, fat middle-aged dudes have been throwing on spandex, putting their fat ass on a bike, and just slowing down the flow of traffic when I'm trying to get someplace, because I got to swerve around the right lane because they can't pedal faster than fucking 20 miles an hour when the speed limit's 40.
Right.
So I got to whip around them. They're causing traffic problems. Everybody's having to slow down, quick move over. It causes a traffic problem, and they're out there in herds, just all riding.
Right.
All because of Lance Armstrong. Tiger becomes a famous golfer. Teenagers want to golf. That's great. But now I got to deal with guys in spandex slowing down the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
He goes to prison. Fuck you, Lance. He inspired all these guys. It's like, couldn't you inspire him to do something in the house?
Right.
What we need is a famous treadmill athlete.
We got famous video game guys. You know,
See, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're not in my way.
Right.
Somebody who can do a solo flex or a stationary bike. It's like, let them be an inspiration.
Right.
But yeah, please don't clog up traffic anymore. They're all over the place.
To the point now where they have bike lanes. You never had bike lanes before.
No.
Now you have bike lanes.
It's called a sidewalk.
Right. It should be called a sidewalk.
Yeah,
They're on the road.
Yeah, joggers, they stay on the sidewalk. Just build a track or something for them to go around in a circle, or not a velodrome necessarily, but
Right.
just a place. And I don't have to look at them. I did actually yell out the window one time to a guy. I'm like, pedal faster, asshole.
You're that guy.
I'm that guy.
He's just trying to get some exercise, trying to go about his day.
When I rode a bike as a kid, I didn't have to put on a special uniform to do it.
No, that's true.
I guess it's what, wind resistance?
I don't know. They got the little pads in the butt cheeks and stuff, and the pads in the seats, and the whatever thing.
They were actually talking about they have to make a groove in the seat for the guys, because the way you sit, you crush the urethra.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And that causes issues. So they actually. So here's a sport where you're sitting the whole time pedaling, and you're crushing your man parts. That does not appeal. So yeah, Lance Armstrong, horrible liar, but again, he's not the only one who's done it. I mean, it's something that people are willing to do in spite of the evidence, and I don't get the why, because it's always worse after. If Lance Armstrong would have come out and said, yeah, I did it, I blood doped, people would be like, oh, man, you shouldn't cheat. That's not right. Mm-hmm. What's on TV? You
Right.
move on from it, and it doesn't become your legacy, because I think the country's very forgiving. We will put a lot of stuff behind us, and there's a lot of second acts in American society. Hell, even Mel Gibson, who I haven't forgiven. But, I mean, he came out and acted contrite, and everybody's like, oh, okay, we'll give him a job. And you can think of all the celebrities who, gone through second acts and apologized. Robert Downey Jr. got a second act.
He got a hell of a second act.
Yeah. So as a country, we're very forgiving of that, unless you continue to just try to fool people.
Right.
And I think it's partially that idea of, look, now you're insulting my intelligence.
Do you think that's the issue with our current POTUS?
You can either confirm or deny.
Yeah.
No.
Lies upon lies upon lies that are obvious.
I think it's one of the issues. I won't say it's the only issue, but it is certainly one of. And what I find crazy, and I can see people throwing stuff, mostly people we know throwing stuff. But I'm not a Trump guy. Mm-hmm. But just when you catch yourself in a lie, mm-hmm. or basically when you tweet one thing and then 2 days later you tweet something else, and it's like, that's not what you just said.
Right.
And it's not even, it's like, so which time were you lying? It's not even this people are digging stuff up and going, oh, that's a lie about this person. It's like, no, this person just put in writing on the internet two completely different things, so they're lying at some point.
Right.
You don't have to try to catch them in a lie. They're documenting them for you. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I would say that's one of the issues that he has going against him.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? The whole thing with grabbing women. I think he never denied it. He spun it, but he didn't come out and say that wasn't his voice or anything.
Yeah, he's like, it's just locker talk.
I think. I think his thing was he wasn't saying he did it, but that you could if you wanted to.
Right.
Which was not my takeaway from it.
Didn't seem like that was the case. No.
No, it really didn't. But here's a guy who pays for sex. So.
Right.
What are you going to do?
What can you do, man? There's a lot of famous liars out there, man. I mean, Richard Nixon's probably one of the biggest.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin apparently was known as a big liar.
Really?
He's even quoted as saying, half a truth is often a great lie. So, yeah, they're saying that he's been memorialized for a lot of things that he didn't even do. The whole lightning key thing never really happened.
But was that him or is that urban legend? Is that like... I think that falls under the George Washington, the cherry tree thing.
Yeah. Besides, most of this is from an article about the top 10 famous liars. It says, besides the most famous of tales, Franklin was also among the first to deploy fake news to stir up passion in the people. Using a homemade printing press in 1782, he concocted, wrote, and printed entirely fake newspapers, running stories about the discoveries of teenage scalps on the frontier. The story was meant to arouse fear against the local Native American tribes and even included fake letters to the editor. It was picked apart by an actual press, leaving Franklin to chuckle in his britches and brag to his friends about how easily he pulled off a fast one on the poor American settlers.
Look at there, kids. Fake news predates social media.
It was the Onion before it was the Onion.
Yeah, which it amazes me how many people will read the Onion and think it's
and post it as
that.
Can
you believe this?
Cracks me up. That always cracks me up. Frida Kahlo was another one that was apparently a very famous liar. Blatant bending of the truth, largely celebrated for being unapologetic about it, rather than criticizing her writings and her own history. She just kind of basically
admitted,
said,
yeah.
So she was pretty famous for that. Frank Abagnale? Abagnale? I don't know how to say that name.
Abagnale?
Yeah. I don't know who that guy is.
Neither do I. What do you do?
Not only did he get away with what are now considered to be horribly obnoxious, Not only did he get away with what are considered now horribly obvious hoaxes, but ended up a pretty wealthy dude because of them. He's known for being portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio in the film Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
That
guy's a great liar.
Yeah.
That's a skill set that he's got.
Ended up spending less than 5 years in prison before being hired by the FBI to consult on fraud cases in return for his release. Wow.
It's kind of like when you hire an ethical hacker.
Right. Yeah. Bill Clinton's on the list, number 7.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Right. Calamity Jane's listed as number 6. Yep.
What'd she not do?
Let's see. Memorialized in popular culture as a sidekick to Wild Bill. For the show, current Wikipedia lists her occupations as a scout for the military. Jane loved to boast about her chapter in the life, about her I can't even talk today.
Boast about her.
She used to boast about this chapter in her life, and that Captain Egan had given her the name Calamity after she saved him from capture. There is, however, no record that she ever served under Egan, or any other general for that matter. It's therefore believed that Jane gave herself the name Calamity along with most of the rest of her biography.
Huh.
Pope Alexander the Sixth
Yes.
famously said, "The end justifies the means." That was his life motto. Loved power in Italy in the late 1400s. The Pope was pretty much as powerful as any human can be. He also loved women and was not about to let those pesky laws about sexual piety stand in his way. Fathered 4 children along with his mistress, and denied paternity at first. He was quick to legitimize all children once he was awarded the title of Pope in 1492. Believed that he fathered 5 additional children by various women after that. Wow. Yeah.
People have been assholes for years.
Yeah, I've been out.
As long as there's been people.
Henry VIII.
Yeah.
Benedict Arnold, pretty famous liar.
Yeah.
And then Robert Ripley, Mr. Ripley's Believe It or Not himself.
That does not surprise me.
No, not at all.
Because some of that's got to be both. A famous liar from around these parts, Rob Van Winkle.
Yes, I was gonna mention that one. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, and really, why would you? He also goes by the moniker Vanilla Ice. Said he grew up in the street. He grew up in Florida, Miami. He was like an urban street kid or whatever. He was trying to give himself some street cred as a rapper or whatnot. And he grew up in the suburbs of Richardson, Texas.
Right.
So not even a Florida native.
Yeah.
And then tries to take credit for songs that aren't his either.
Yeah. Jeez.
So you've got him in there as well. A lot of it, like Calamity Jane, it's like, it was the old way. It's like a urban legend, but some of this, especially when it's newer. Oh, yeah.
Brian Williams.
His helicopter was fired upon.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Lance Armstrong was number 3 on that list.
Does it mention him getting fat guys in spandex?
Yes.
Oh,
does.
good.
Yeah.
R. Kelly?
Brandy is listed. I don't know what
Who?
Brandy got caught doing.
I don't know what brandy is. I mean, it's a drink.
Yeah, she's some singer chick person.
Oh, okay.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Big one. Milli Vanilli.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah. I kind of don't even blame them. I feel like they were,
that
kind of
again, that was
that.
they got pulled in by A&R guys who were like, look, we need you guys to do this for us. That actually came on like the 80s channel, the MTV 80s channel on Sirius. They were doing a countdown of some sort. And I actually listened to it. I've never listened to the song all the way through, the Blame It on the Rain thing. Mm-hmm. But I listened to it and I tried to picture in my head, like, okay, imagine them singing. It's like, does this voice even sound like it comes out of that guy? And then trying to picture what the original singers look like. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay. It was just interesting to try to visualize. It's like, how did you even think this was them? It doesn't even seem like it. But then you see the guy who sang it, and you're like, okay, that makes a little more sense.
Right. Those type of things like that make you wonder how it didn't get out sooner. Like when they were making the music videos, when they were doing all that stuff, you got to know the directors of those music videos were going, these guys don't even speak English. Like, how are they?
Because the checks don't bounce.
Yeah,
because there's all sorts of secrets like that in Hollywood.
With
the auto tune, perfect example. I'm at a Kenny Chesney Tim McGraw concert, not by choice. It seemed it seemed like a good idea for work because the boss was going like, oh, okay, get points with the boss. But Kenny Chesney's up there singing, and as you know from our little podcast, I'm not the most technically savvy. I can hook up some mics and stuff. But even I know that if I turn my head over here or over here, it sounds different than if I'm talking here.
Yeah.
Well, while Kenny's singing and his face is away from the mic, the volume doesn't change in his voice at all. You can still hear him clear as day, even though he's not even looking at the mic and singing off to the side. Then, as he's holding the mic stand and gripping it to show how much these lyrics mean to him, the mic falls out of the stand.
Oh, no.
And he catches it in his hand, at which point you're going to hear kind of like a thump.
Right.
All I heard was Kenny singing.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't even him. He was up there lip syncing his own song during concert. And it's not like, okay, you can't sing and we've got to bring you in to, be the attractive guy to sing this song. These are your own songs, and what, you're tired?
Right.
You don't want to sing your own music? So, yeah, I would chalk that up as a lie.
A lot of performers do that nowadays, like Britney Spears. A lot of these people get caught in those type of things.
A lot of it, part of it too is the gymnastics. Well, you know what? No, I don't give them a. You
don't give them a pass on that.
I don't, and here's why: Broadway.
That's true.
There was. Oh, man.
Very true. Very true.
I cannot think of the singer. I watch a lot more Broadway stuff now with Maddie.
Yeah,
but. It was a performance of Anything Goes. There is tap dancing, there is jumping, there is everything. And the lady still got to sing at the end of the dance. Mm-hmm. And it's her.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so Britney's getting carried around and jumping and dancing and gyrating her hips and whatnot. And then she can't sing. It's like this lady, who has a much better voice than you, just belted out and held a note after doing a tap dance routine.
Right.
And you can't do it. And maybe it's because Britney's not really a trained singer.
Yeah.
And this other lady is, and she has breath control and whatnot. So, yeah, no, I give no pass on that.
Yeah. Also, she's probably lazy. So.
Well, there's that.
I don't know.
There is that fact, too.
I mean, a lot of that, too, is that she's not a great singer, and a lot of that's made in the studio.
Oh, absolutely.
So same thing with Madonna. I'm sure Madonna does it, and a lot of rappers and stuff do it. So
yeah, sample happens, yourself because now it's about the floor show,
right?
And it's not about the singing. And I would rather go hear somebody sing than have the floor show. I don't need that.
Right.
The
pomp and circumstance.
No.
James Frey. Do you remember that one?
He was the guy.
Wrote the memoir about being hooked on drugs and got called out by Oprah.
By Oprah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. His
A Million Little Pieces was
that's
his
what
memoir.
It was. Talking about how
hooked on drugs and then
Well, and there was oh man, and I just watched it. There were actually two movies. And I can't think of the guy's name. It was along the lines of James Frey, and I cannot find it. So talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
While I look for it, but it was a really good movie.
John Edwards was a big one.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That wasn't his kid.
Yep.
Lots in Gary Hart. Mm-hmm. Shattered Glass. It's Hayden Christensen.
Okay.
Who normally sucks, but he was good in this. But he plays a journalist, Stephen Glass, who wrote for the New Republic. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that he made up the majority of his stories.
Oh, wow.
And his articles that he wrote in the New Republic. He wrote one about a hacker convention. Mm-hmm. Never happened.
Wow.
Just completely fabricated the story. But there were several. I think they said 27 of his 41 articles were just completely fabricated.
Damn.
And then there was the other one. Oh, I can't think of it. The guy who was selling the biography of Howard Hughes, mm-hmm. and claimed that he had access to Howard Hughes and had written his biography, and then I think he actually got an advance from Doubleday. The movie was called The Hoax. Richard Gere played him. Mm-hmm. Clifford Irving.
Okay.
And he claimed that Howard Hughes had commissioned him. In other words, he wrote the biography or autobiography for Howard Hughes and had notes and whatnot, and it was all fabricated as well. I think, or was it he didn't even have the book? But it was one of those where he got, he sells his bogus biography.
Wow. Star Jones.
What did she lie about?
She said she lost her weight due to exercise and diet, but she had gastric bypass. She got nailed for that one. Farrah Abraham.
Who is she?
Initially said she merely made a sex tape with porn star James Dean. She had no idea how it got leaked online. She later admitted, yes, she made the porn on purpose. I don't know who that was. The White Stripes, that was a big one for a while there because they claimed they were brother and sister, but they were actually married or whatever, and all that weird stuff. I think that was just to promote the band or whatever.
Can't be both?
Yeah. Well, it depends on where you're from, I guess.
Gotcha.
Alex Rodriguez.
Again, another guy who's going to take it to the grave until it's like, here's the test.
Mm-hmm.
And even then wants to deny. And he's just an ass. Even if he didn't lie about it, he's just unlikable. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa.
Right.
Which completely taints the home run race to me. And I don't think Barry's record, and if you look at the Hall of Fame voting, the voters aren't big on them making it into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Right.
Because of that. And, the crazy part is McGwire hit all those home runs, Bonds hit all those home runs, and yet you look at guys like Ruth and Hank Aaron, not big guys, not big, muscular, powerful guys.
Right.
So, and I guess the argument was always, well, it can help the muscle, but it doesn't help it doesn't do anything for your eyes, and, you still have to see the pitch. Like, whatever. That so to me that put me off baseball for a long time.
Yeah.
Who else did that? Actually, he the guy who I guess lied about it for a little while and then came clean was Jose Canseco. He wrote his book about all the steroid use in baseball, and everybody was like, he's bitter, he's this, he's that, and he named Mark McGwire in there, and then it comes out, it's like, Canseco was actually telling the truth. So, what other... I'm trying to think of what sport... Well, they had I guess cheating is a form of lying, but they had a ref who was shaving points or had gambling problems in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick. He's been caught lying, cheating. Cheating games. It seems politics and sports.
Yeah,
those tend to be the big ones that we think about.
Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, politics, sports, news,
Harvey
celebrity.
Weinstein.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Lied about all of that. And
started a movement.
Really did.
Mm-hmm.
Because just think of all the people who fell from that. Jeremy Piven.
Mm-hmm.
James Franco.
Right.
Always seemed like a tool. On Cosby.
Yeah.
Which was, to me, the most disappointing because I really liked Cosby.
Yeah, me too. And I still like Bill Cosby himself. I'm not,
it is one of the best stand-ups I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is it... Those are big lies, though. These are things where it involves... Something's coming back on you. You're going to lose a job. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose your freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. In situations where it's not.
Right.
Is there a such thing as just like a civil, polite lie?
I don't know. I think there is, and a lot of people do little white lies just to get through situations or avoid conversations, I guess. But I've gotten to the point at this point, I just suck at lying. I really do. And I've gotten to the point in my life where I just don't.
I'll give you a situation. Lady I worked with over at Collin College, very religious.
Mm-hmm.
Not just a good, church-going woman, but very just a little bit over the top.
Right.
And she's telling this story to us at work. She goes to a friend's house and just to hang out, just go see her, and can I make you something? Like, oh, sure. They end up having lunch. Her friend makes her a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Tells her, oh, that was so delicious. Thank you. I really enjoyed that. They have their conversation. She goes home, but she lied. It was a horrible sandwich. It was one of the worst things she had ever eaten, and it was absolutely horrible. And when she got home, she said she felt guilty for lying. So the next day, she went to her friend's house to tell her that she had lied to her and that her sandwich was not good. She did not enjoy it, and it was actually rather horrible. But she had to tell her that because she couldn't lie to her and had to tell her the truth.
Yikes.
Now, is that a situation where you're better off just saying,
Not my thing.
or just saying, oh, thank you for the sandwich?
Right.
You don't have to say it's delicious. You don't have to say this is wonderful. But you just eat it and say thank you and be polite. And even if you had said, that was very good, thank you. Is it necessary to go back and then say, by the way, your sandwich sucked. I hated it. Which is actually worse? The little white lie of that was delicious and let her feel good about herself, or going back and saying, I lied about it. You can't make a sandwich to save your life. Which one's actually worse? I'm going to say going back, and I think that's a kind little lie. And again, if you're smart, you can just say, thank you very much for the sandwich. You don't even have to comment on the quality of it.
Right.
But I just think a little lie like that, I don't see a big deal in that. She was just saving face, allowing her friend to save face.
Right.
And then she ruined that. So stuff like that I'm okay with. If somebody mentions a movie like, oh, have you seen whatever Will Ferrell movie? And I'm aware of it, and I hate it, and it sucks because I don't like Will Ferrell.
Right.
Oftentimes what I'll say is, I haven't, but I'm aware of the film. Or I know what film you're talking about. Instead of saying, oh, yeah, I know what movie you're talking about. That sucks. Will Ferrell sucks. How can you watch that garbage? Instead of saying something like that, I'm like, you know what? I think I've seen it, or I think I know what you're talking about.
Right.
So that then they can tell their story, and I don't judge them or criticize them for their choice in film. Mm. I say that for the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know anybody who's listening, really.
So a lot of people in media, I mean, you go back to Howard Stern, that guy lies all the time about stuff just to make it funny on the show. So, I mean, there's some measure of that, I think, that's allowable.
Where it's a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit. Right.
Yeah, radio's has always been full of guys doing that, or just even in TV shows or just talk shows.
Yeah. The whole reality TV show thing is one giant lie.
Oh, that's, yeah.
One
Anytime
giant lie.
you have a reality show that has writers, yeah, that says something.
Yep, absolutely. So your news and your television, for the most part, pretty much lies.
Yeah, I try to watch, when I get the news, I try to go to multiple sources because I know that each one's going to just have a slant. One's going to omit something. One's going to word something a little bit differently, put in an adjective to kind of slant it to whatever side. So by getting multiple sources, just like with anything, it gives me a better idea of like, okay, the truth is probably somewhere in here.
Right.
As opposed to like, oh, okay, just believing what comes out. Now, you even mentioned, politicians, but also the government lies.
Yeah, big time.
They just talked about the Afghanistan papers that came out, and what the true cost and the true outcome of the war in Afghanistan has been. And they've overwhelmingly said, the generals and the military brass involved, if the American people knew the truth about this, they would be really upset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it has been a huge waste of money and a huge waste of human life. Mm-hmm. And even the people who didn't die who come back with injuries. And at the end of the day, it's like, but for what? What was achieved?
Right.
Nothing. But the government tell you, oh, we're winning the war. We're winning the war out there. We're winning the people over. This is going to make the world better. No.
Yeah.
Not really.
That goes back to the statement, war, what is it good for?
Yeah. That's true. It's good for the military-industrial complex.
Yeah. Well, the answer is absolutely nothing, but...
Yeah.
Say it again.
Sorry. Totally dropped the ball on that.
That's okay.
Want to try it again? Go ahead.
That goes back to the old saying, war, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
exactly.
true. And the military-industrial complex, which was actually warned about as Eisenhower was leaving office.
Yeah.
He warned about the dangers of the military-industrial complex and how it could basically give us a reason to go, oh, maybe we should go intervene over here. Maybe we should go intervene over there. Because look at all this stuff we got.
Right.
And here's a guy who is not a peacenik. He was a general during World War II. He was in the Army, and he's like, hey, look, when you've got military contractors knocking at your door, don't let that influence your decision as to where you get involved. Mm-hmm. But that was one of the things. Did Bush and Cheney lie about WMDs in Iraq? Mm. Was that just an out and out fabrication just to go in and oust Saddam? So you've even got the government lying about what was going on in Vietnam. Reporting something, just to paint it in a better light, so people wouldn't be quite so upset about it. Mm. So it's part of our daily life. But think about it. I mean, I don't remember the comedian who said it, but just imagine the kid who thinks the first time a kid lies,
right?
And they're like, wait a minute. What if I didn't tell the truth? Like, it's like they discovered it. Like the first time a kid, did you break that? No. Like, wait a minute, I can just say no, even though the parents know they did. But every kid at some point, that part of it doesn't even have to be taught. It's like instinctual, that cover your ass thing. Like, did you break it? No. It's like, well, I'm gonna know it was you, but still do it.
Right. That's something you learn through life, right? I mean, either you get away with it and decide, hey, this is something I should do, or you don't get away with it and you figure, probably not the best thing.
Yeah. And a lot of people have gotten away with it for years. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you would say guys like Pete Rose ever got away with it, because I think everybody knew. Lance Armstrong, I think everybody kind of knew and didn't really believe him.
Right.
Clinton, all the guys we mentioned. But then OJ, not a lot of people believe him. There's still a few guys out there like, no, the juice wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. But by and large, and certainly the jury in his last trial didn't believe it, because he ended up going away for a lot longer than he would have. And I think it was because they felt like he got away. He literally got away with murder. So they we'll tack on a few extra years.
Right.
But yeah, I don't. Just because people don't believe it, as long as there's not that proof, that absolute proof, you can continue to skate on it.
Right.
And OJ has. Do you know he has a Twitter handle?
Does he really?
Oh yeah, he posts videos of himself.
Doing what?
Talking about sports. Mm. When he should be out looking for the real killers, like he always said he would.
Goodness.
Fucking OJ. Ray Lewis.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't stab those guys.
Mm-hmm. Emmett Smith, was he a liar, or was did he just admit it and got caught for whatever he did?
What did Emmett Smith do?
He did cocaine and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean all those guys. Michael Irvin got busted. You get busted enough, at some point somebody's going to be like, "Oh,
was it Michael Irvin or Emmett Smith? Who was?
That was Michael Irvin. Was the one. I'm sure Emmett Smith might have.
I probably got pissed off a bunch of people by that one. Huh?
It's possible Emmett Smith could have done drugs. I'm not, but there was nothing I ever read about it. But Michael Irvin was the big one. Now, what about people who lie to try to? I guess at the end of the day, you're always lying to protect yourself, but people who and it's a different type of lie.
Okay, he lied about a concussion to keep playing.
Oh, so. Yeah. I think every football player's done that.
Right.
But a different type of lying, people who lie about being gay, mm-hmm. people who stay in the closet. Now that one, that I get. I can understand that. You don't want to tell your family. You don't want Hollywood to know. You don't want, because it can totally change your image as an actor.
Right. Change your career trajectory, I guess.
Right. So there's people out there who,
I think
keep
we're
things in
a different world now where there's less and less of that, or less people worried about that. But it's still, to a degree, I think does affect the overall perception people have of you and stuff. And
how can you watch
maybe
somebody
the
in an
roles.
action flick and think, well, but he's gay?
Right. I don't have a problem with it, but I know there's people that still
Has there
do.
been anybody who does action movies who has come out as gay?
That's a good question.
I can't think of anybody.
Errol Flynn.
He was like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Not gay, just ran out of women.
Yeah.
It was
right.
like,
Gender fluid, I guess. Is the
yeah,
term.
it's
There's so
because
many
that
terms
was
now.
Freddie's thing. It was like not
Yeah.
gay, ran out of women.
Right.
Errol Flynn, like I ran through all the women, so
Right. Yeah. Rock Hudson. Same.
yeah. But I mean, think about it. Then that would have killed Rock Hudson's career.
Oh yeah, he was the ladies' man. That's what he did on
Yeah.
screen. You know.
Liberace. How did nobody get it?
Right.
Like really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on now.
But he kept saying he was dating. That's figure skater,
Right.
Sonia Henning.
Right.
Of course, one of my favorite South Park episodes, the Scientology episode. Mm-hmm. Tom Cruise is in the closet.
Talk about a big giant lie there. Scientology. I was talking about Scientology in general.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. No, of course you were. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the funny things is,
John Travolta.
yeah, because they, that's there's been several pictures of John Travolta kissing dudes, where they're always like, "Oh no, it's meant to be a friendly kiss on the cheek." It's like, I've known you a long time. I've never given you a friendly kiss on the cheek.
Right.
No, it just seems a little odd.
Right.
But there was an interview with Carrie Fisher years ago, and they were asking her about it because I think Travolta was suing somebody for defamation, and it was in a gay publication, Out, Advocate, something like that, and they asked her about Travolta in his lawsuit, and her quote was something to the effect of, "I don't know. I was kind of surprised. I just thought it was a thing everybody knew, and we all just love John, so nobody really cares." And I was
Right.
like, wow, you just totally said that John Travolta's gay and nobody really cares.
Right.
But that's also been one of the things they've said about why he won't leave Scientology,
Right.
is because if he does, they will.
Smear campaign his ass.
Well, and Scientology is, I guess, if you read through all their tons of literature and bullshit, that you're not supposed to be gay. And so here, two of your biggest faces have been rumored to be gay. So what happens then?
Right.
You could do what the Mormons did in 1978 and say that Jesus changed his mind about African Americans and
Right.
like, no, that's okay now. It's okay. Yeah, we just got word on high. He was wrong the first time.
Right.
So, David Miscavige could go, you know what? I just heard from LRH. The whole gay thing, not a problem.
Right.
We're wrong. May I present to you Tom Cruise and John Travolta? But, yeah, I think that's probably part of it. And, like, just the power of, hey, we can ruin you. Plus, not only that, but they just have all that information on everybody because they sit there and they have you tell your deepest, darkest secrets. And then if you decide you're going to leave or something, just like,
Yeah.
we'll expose all of this.
I mean, you're talking about a country that was founded on lies. The promise of land and all these things happening and taking all this land away from the Native Americans and everything else that goes along with it. So, yeah, we've got a long history of liars running the country, and that's not going to change. That's not going anywhere, I don't think.
That's growing up, I played Cowboys and Indians. It was the 70s. But you get older, and then you start thinking, well, wait a minute. So we went in and fought the Indians who were here. Like, yeah, but they were savages. They started attacking settlers and pioneers, and it was self-defense and all of this. And then as you get older, you start looking at, like, so there was like a group of people at a chunk of land, and they had their homes there.
Right.
And we wanted that chunk of land, so we just moved them off of it and said, that's ours. Then they got upset about it and fought.
Right. Vikings?
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
like,
what that is, really.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with, but this is my house.
Right.
I live
but
here.
it's just a teepee. You don't have any stake here. It's
Yeah,
just a
it's
little
like it's
spot,
not a permanent. It's not a
tent.
permanent
We call
structure.
that a tent. You got to
yeah,
go.
It's
Get
you
your
have to
tents
move.
off my land.
Yeah, we're just going to
basically.
keep moving you here. We'll move you there.
Yeah.
And just the idea of, well, because we should have it.
Right.
You know, what do they call it? Manifest destiny. It's like
it's like what Rocket said at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. But what if I want the thing more than the other guy?
Okay. Yeah.
No, that's still stealing.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's one of those things you look at as you get older. It's like, as a kid, you always hear just like, you know, cowboys good guys, you know, Indians bad guys. Like,
Right.
I'm not saying that there weren't massacres where, you know, Indians, you know, tribes wiped out settlers. That was horrible. But you also can't wipe out the fact that it's like, yeah, but we also did that to them.
Right.
Which doesn't, neither is right. But you just can't sit there and go, oh, yeah, just like when I was a kid. Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Black and white. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's not really a thing.
No.
And I think people, I don't know, you don't, it is going to sound horrible. You do, there are probably people who try to soften the blow of slavery, if you will.
Right.
You know,
Song of the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that was, look at how happy he is scampering and singing songs.
He loves being a slave.
It's great. But, you know, when they'll sit there and say, well, you know, not everybody was treated poorly, etc. You know, it's like, well, it was horrible conditions over there. My favorite, well, their own people sold them. Yeah, that's not a thing. That doesn't make it okay. It's
Right.
like, wait, so... Yeah, just because a man in Africa sold a black man to white trader, that doesn't mean it's okay. Because I bought him from a black dude.
Right.
Like no,
That's not how that works,
At
man.
any point when you own a human being, it's just wrong.
Right.
And yet there's that whole idea of like, well, but see, it wasn't as bad. No, it's fucking bad. You can't, you know, even if you're treated well.
Right.
But I'm property. No. But that's, again, one of those where you try to lie and put it through rose-colored glasses.
Would you consider the Empire's use of clones slavery? Now we're getting into science fiction, but
Yeah. I don't know. I think cloning's just, yeah. Maybe.
What happens if we get to that point? I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime.
What about Data? There was that whole argument on Star Trek. You know,
Right.
is Data a sentient being?
Right.
Or is he just a machine and a piece of property? Or is he an individual?
You know, sci-fi does deal with a lot of those.
It
hard
really
topics.
does. It puts a lot of that out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you create somebody because you're. I guess the thing with cloning is you're saying they're not real.
Right.
You know, they're just cattle. Which, yeah, I would have to say, yeah, you can't clone somebody and then make them your property.
Right.
Even when they talk about, you know, you clone people for parts, it's like, well, that's a dick move.
Right.
Because, you know, when you've got organ donation, that's kind of, it's horrible. It's kind of like when your car breaks down, you got to go to the junkyard and you're like, hey, do you have a carburetor for a 63 Chevy?
Right.
Organ donation is somebody saying, hey, all right, when I pass, if somebody needs a heart, an eye, something like that, they can have it.
Right.
That's different than somebody saying, we're going to specifically grow you so that when my parts run out, I take yours and I put them in me.
There's a movie. It was our favorite
Replicants?
guy. Our favorite guy.
Bruce Willis?
Not Bruce.
No.
Not Zack Snyder. The other guy. Bad Boys. God, I just flaked
Michael
on his name.
Bay.
Michael Bay's The Island. Remember the movie The Island?
I never saw it, but I know which one you're talking about.
So that the concept
Ewan
of that movie
McGregor
was,
and Scarlett Johansson.
yeah, they have an island where these people are, and they're genetically altered humans, and they're on this thing, and they're thinking that they're earning the ability to go to this island where they can be free and just live, but they're actually being grown because they're clones. And rich people, when they need the parts, will send them to the island so they can take them apart and take the parts they need. So that's what that whole movie's about. So kind of ahead of its time. You should check it out. It's actually not a bad movie for a Michael Bay movie. So give it a watch.
Was there a lens flare? Please tell me there was.
There's
a
lots of lens flare. There's
yeah.
Jim. I think Steve Buscemi's in it. So there's that.
Yeah.
You know.
Buscemi, he just needs a paycheck.
Yeah.
I think there was a quote when they asked him about why he did Armageddon. He said, "Because I wanted a swimming pool for the house."
Right.
Like-
yeah, it's like what shit. What's his name? Jaws: The Revenge.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Yeah, I needed a new house.
Like, all right.
I'll do it. Revenge.
And it's not
flick
like
with-
this is going to stretch my acting muscles,
Right,
so
right.
I can phone this in.
Right. Where do I get? I get to be at the Bahamas for how long? Okay, cool. That's fine.
Would you...
George Lucas is a pretty big liar.
What, saying that he had written a trilogy when it was one movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
And then,
go ahead.
everybody wanted us to make these changes to the original Star Wars. Everybody was behind it. And
No.
yeah. And everybody loves Episode 1. They loved it when we screened it. Like, no, they didn't.
No, they didn't. You know who got screwed by Lucas? It was David Prowse.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't get invited to whatever the big Star Wars Fan Expo thing was, or any of that, because what was it? Lucas said that he leaked the thing about Vader being Luke's father.
Mm-hmm.
That he basically blabbed that. And that was why he didn't get to be the man in the mask at the end of Return, was because Lucas was pissed off at him. And what it actually was after Star Wars came out, they were interviewing David Prowse, and it was in the UK, and he made a comment about, oh, it was a fun movie to make. It was really cool. I enjoyed the experience, etc. I don't know if we'll ever make another one or whatever, but one thing I think that would be interesting is if it turned out that Vader was Luke's father. He goes, that might just be an interesting take on it.
Right.
And so the interview that took place before Empire was even a thing, Lucas blames him, I think based on that is what Prowse was basically saying.
Wow.
But he even said in there, he goes, they didn't sign us to a contract to do Empire. He said they approached us and said, hey, we're doing a sequel. We've written a sequel. And it makes sense because if you think about it, the love interest between Luke and Leia, clearly they were meant to be the couple in the movie.
Right.
And
It's
then
supposed to be a love triangle, and Han Solo got in the way. And,
yeah. And then so that comes up, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. How are they brother and sisters? Like, because he made one freaking movie, and the way it ends.
Right.
That was not like, oh, hey, we're doing a sequel.
So do you think by the time Empire... God, how do we get on Star Wars?
Jesus.
We're leading up to Rise.
Yeah.
We're going to get into Rise of
Yeah.
Skywalker on the next episode. But like, do you think at the end when they wrote Empire, they knew, like, okay, they're going to be brother and sister? Because they had that line in there, there is another.
Yeah, I think at that point, maybe. But it's weird because she kisses Luke at the beginning of it
Right.
to make
Right.
Han jealous.
Right. Because he's a scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's scruffy looking?
And I fought with my wife on that line for years. I was like, it's nerf herder. It's like a nerf, like a nerf ball. Like, no, it's nerve herder. I'm like, no, it's nerf herder. And then we saw the subtitles on the Disney Plus or whatever, or the Blu-ray. And she's like, fine, it's still stupid. Now it's stupid. Like, it makes more sense if it's nerve herder. I'm like, that doesn't make sense either.
I like
That's
nerf
just
herder.
bad dialogue. And yes, he's known for that, but
Yeah, Lucas wrote dialogue like it was meant to be read,
right,
not spoken.
right.
But yeah, he lied about all
Let
that.
Tarantino write a Star Wars movie.
Apparently, he's backing out of the Star Trek movie.
Is
was
he
doing.
really?
Yeah, I think so.
Aw. Did you watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Not
You
yet.
seen it yet? Neither.
No,
Yeah, I haven't either.
it's not on Amazon, so I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I'm
Are you?
I'm lying. I've seen it. No, I actually, I honestly have not.
No.
But I will not lie about this. I really want to see the Downton Abbey movie, and it's not on Amazon yet. So
It was good.
I have no issue admitting that I want to watch the Downton Abbey movie.
It was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, I'll.
You'll enjoy it.
I will
it's
have to.
a little neat bow at the end, but it's still.
Yeah,
really
and I
good.
thought the way the show wrapped up was also
now after
in the-
scene credits when the Abbey blows up, it's a little much. So
Yeah,
but it sets up for the next one.
Oh, that's
Right?
cool.
They
Yeah.
go and take
Did-
land
was
from
it,
Indians and build a new abbey. I don't know.
Wait, in the UK, who did they take land from?
I don't
It's just
know.
I'm trying to figure out who that was that they would have. They took it from the Scots,
There you go.
basically.
Right.
I'd be lying to you if I said I got anything else to talk about.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty much there.
All right, there we go. So, kids, we honestly hope that you enjoyed this episode of Love to Hate, and I'm not going to promise, because I don't want to lie to you, that there will be one next week, but we are going to record one.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be up.
Hopefully the sound will work, and I'll actually remember how to use this thing. And we'll have the Rise of Skywalker. No, we're good on this one. I know that.
We're good on
sure.
this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You wouldn't lie to me, would you? Talk to you next week, kids.